Hello and welcome one and all to the Forge Works. Today we will begin our great journey of a walkthrough of the Lord of the Rings Online. We'll begin today with the Hobbit introduction sequence and follow the escapades of Barilla here. So go ahead and begin with Bounder Boffin here. Who goes there? What is your business on the road? I'm a bounder, answer me at once. The Hobbit is startled, but the alarm on his face melts into relief when he sees your face. Oh, thank goodness, a Hobbit! I'm awfully sorry, I just had a bit of a scare. Something doesn't feel right tonight. You tossed it all the way from over there.
Inside is a spare weapon. You should loot it for yourself, then equip it to use it.
Whatever you say. Wrong tab. There we are.
Be sure to equip your weapon before we have at it. We ought to test your skill in battle. Try coming at me.
Back up here.
Did you hear something? There, down the road. Oh,
I don't know. It'd help if they had nameplates.
gracious me. Did you see that?
Look, pal, I'm scared of spiders too, but you don't see me shrieking. So this particular class I'm playing here is called the Minstrel, which is quite similar to a bard that you might find in typical D&D.
Well done. Let's press on now.
Typically focuses on healing and damage dealing from a distance.
Last, I just need to find the key.
Oh, they've been busy.
I think we're almost safe.
We're close now, Barilla. Odo's farm will get us safe to the road, and from here we can get to the nearest town, hopefully without encountering any spiders or worse. And we'll see about that. Oh. So it wasn't the Nazgul that got us, it was the brigands.
Hobbits seem to turn up in the most unlikely places about the Gothic.
As do primary characters.
Come along, we are not safe just yet.
Come, Barilla. I can see that you have a brave spirit, but it is time to flee. The Baggins they captured is not the Baggins they hunted. The brigands will not follow us when they learn of their error, but it would be wise to be far away from here. My companion is outside, helping to rescue your friends. Let us join them.
Come, Hobbits, it is safe now.
Oh dear.
This was a dire turn of events.
Stay close to me this night, Barilla. We must get Amdir to safety. It is to Archit that we must flee. Bounderboffin, you should go back to the Shire. Its bounds must be kept safe. Celandine and Mundo come with me. I worry for Mundo's safety when all the wicked folk west of the Greenway are searching for Baggins. Alas, that my true charge must wait.
Wounded by a Black Rider, Ranger Amdir escaped with his charges into the wild, making his way back to the village of Archit.
There, Captain Brackenbrook, a retired sellsword, has allowed Strider and his companions to stay and take respite from their cares.
Now, it is at this point that I will switch over to a different character and explain a couple of things along the way. I won't be showing as much of the human introductory sequence, as it's a little bit less than the Hobbit one. For instance, you start out the human sequence with the jail only, and Strider helps you out of the jail, and you end up meeting up with Strider on the opposite side of the space where you encountered the Nazgul, along the way freeing Celandine and Mundo here. So in effect, it's not much different than the Hobbit introductory sequence. And I'll explain one other system here. So, normally, in a RPG, you would have your green health and blue power, or sometimes red health. Although in this particular game, and as you'll see with the screen effects going on here, you actually have morale instead of health. And if you look at the map, it's a little bit different than you might remember it. So, in this system, you have a hope and dread system. Hope is primarily beneficial. It increases your morale and increases the damage you deal. However, if you start accumulating dread, i.e. every time you go near like a high-ranking enemy character, or you start dying a lot, or defeated, rather, you start to have less maximum morale, you deal less damage, you take more damage, that sort of thing. I thought it was a really unique idea that this game went with.
Thank goodness you're awake. My fellow Amdir seems very ill.
You're awake, Ernhelm. Thank goodness you were exhausted after what happened last night, but that ranger got us all safe to Archit in the end. I'm terribly worried for his friend. Amdir looks so very ill. You can check on him if you like. He's just over there, to the west of where I'm standing. Oh, okay. Do you see him there across the lane? Nope, not one bit. But let's go see how he is. The rig will lead the way.
Do not trouble yourself on my account. It is only a shield.
So you are awake at last, Ernhelm. You earned your rest, for you fought bravely last night. As for myself, I found no peace in slumber. The blade of the Black Rider pierced only my shoulder, though not deeply. I am chilled, but it is no matter. Thank you for your concern, but it is Strider for whom I fear. He is charged with a great task, but he tarries for my sake, and for Archit's.
There are too many deeds to be done, all pressing, and none of them easy.
Hail, Ernhelm. Amdir is right. I am torn asunder. I do not wish to leave him in this state, and Archit must be warned that the Blackwoods mean to raid the town. But I should be seeking a different Baggins right now. Here we get to choose our quest reward. I'm going to go for the medium armor.
Perhaps you can help, my friend. Do not heed my warnings.
Perhaps you can help, Ernhelm. The people of Archit will be in great danger when the Blackwoods execute the plan we witnessed last night. The captain here, a man named Brackenbrook, does not like my look, and will not heed my warnings. Pray, speak to him on my behalf, and see if you can rouse him. Every moment I spend here is a moment in which my true charge plunges blindly nearer to unfathomable peril. The Black Rider you saw last night seeks a Baggins, and our friend Mundo is not the one. Fair enough. Did you wander in here last night with those rangers? I do not like the look of those fellows one bit, but I will let them stay on account of the Pale One's wounds. You say the Black Wolves mean to attack us, but I do not believe it. Not without proof. Those brigands have always been about. They are an unruly lot, but not murderous. I'll not be attacking them without good reason. If you must, talk to folks around town and get their opinions. If they are on your side, I'll consider the Rangers' warning. All right, we'll take a poll. If Captain Brackenbrook says we're safe, then we're safe. He's always done a fine job at protecting our village. Why would the Blackwood Wanderers suddenly attack us now? I see your friend is wounded, and I hope it was not the Blackwoods that did it to him. I truly trust Captain Brackenbrook, for he has always kept us safe since he took charge of Archet. I won't argue with the captain, but I will help the injured fellow in any way I can. You think the Blackwoods mean to attack us? Don't be absurd. They harbor no love for us, but they haven't a leader, and they fight more among themselves than they do with outsiders. They couldn't raid a squirrel's nest, let alone our own. Well, Strider, my friend, it appears we're on our own.
Alas, for peaceful folk everywhere, it is an enormous task to convince them that evil people with evil intentions commit evil deeds.
It seems I cannot leave yet. Amdir needs my help, and I have pressing work to do in Archet to get these people ready for the impending storm. If you will help me, perhaps I can leave before tonight. Oh?
Before you try to fight, you must learn what skills you learn from the trainer.
There is much to do, and you are new to this world of danger. So long as you wish to help Archet, it is most important that you hone your skills as a warden. I would like you to assist me, but I wish to make sure you are ready for the evil trials you will face. Alright, we'll go talk to the trainer. Roscoe Standish here. I am glad to see you, friend. I chose the path of the warden long ago, and perhaps if you are willing to listen, I can help a young one like yourself. A warden is a master of sword, spear, shield, and javelin. He is also an excellent study of his enemies, and will learn how an enemy can be toppled with the right combination of blows, or how to strengthen his own heart for the battles to come. And battles will be plentiful, for a warden seeks to defend those who cannot defend themselves by drawing the enemy's eye. Use the skill defensive strike on the training dummy nearby. Very good. And before I do that, I'll go ahead and explain the warden class here. So, wardens were actually one of the classes introduced later on in the game's lifetime, during the, I believe it was the Mines of Moria expansion package, which came out a couple of years after the game did. And the entire idea of a warden is that you can use these basic 3 skills down here, quick thrust, shield bash, and warden's taunt, to create a combination I believe the cap used to be 5 different skills, but I think in the later game nowadays you can build up about 7 skills? I'm not sure, I've never played Warden that much. But you build up a combination, and the payoff is a unique ability. Right now it's just a default ability that does a little bit more damage than usual. But you can get some pretty silly combinations. Wardens are known for being a little overpowered in the present game, because not only can they deal a decent amount of damage and pull a decent amount of aggro, they're pretty good tanks for medium armor, but they can also self-heal more than you would ever believe. So we'll go ahead and give the explanation for gambits here. You have no doubt noticed a large new UI element on your screen. This is the gambit display. It can be moved, like most other UI elements, by using Control \\. The gambit display has 2 boxes that hold gambit icons and the gambit default skill. Gambit icons are added to the display when you execute some basic gambit skills. You have Quick Thrust, which adds a red spear icon, Shield Bash, which adds a green shield icon, and Warden's Taunt, which adds a yellow fist icon. These gambit icons combine to unlock a new kind of skill called a gambit. When the correct sequence of gambit icons is in the display, the gambit default skill will change into the correct gambit. That gambit can then be used by clicking on the box in the gambit display. The gambit default skill has also been placed on your hotbar for easy use. Gambits that you know are displayed in the character journal by selecting the Skills tab at the top and Gambits tab at the bottom. They are categorized by the number of icons to enable the gambit and the gambit type. Types are the same as the first icon in the gambit icon sequence. Spear gambits are primarily physical attacks. Shield gambits add defensive buffs and heal over time effects. Fist gambits affect multiple enemies and grant defensive buffs. You have a ranged stance, Assailment, which will turn your gambit builders into ranged versions of themselves. Each of these stances comes with a different suite of available abilities, and you can swap between them freely. So yes, instead of the sword and spear, you can kind of switch over to a javelin. Yeah, there it is right there, a javelin stance. Alright, so we will attack the dummy with defensive strike. We need to find out what that is. The gambit tab. So defensive strike is shield. Let's try that. There we go. That's basically how that system works. I'll go talk to the trainer again. Now quit. I need you to quit twitching. There you go. Well done, Ernhelm. Make sure you visit a trainer as you advance in your role as a warden. As you grow, you will find that trainers such as myself have tasks for you, as well as the occasional bit of wisdom. Good luck. Well, thanks. I can use daggers and axes as well. Good. We'll be boring and go for the sword. We have leveled up to 3. So what does Strider have to say to us this time? Have you learned some new tricks of the Warden? I can see that you have. You seem more confident now. Well, I don't know. Let's check. They look the same as I always do. You are about to take on a most perilous task. If we fail, I fear that ruin will come to more towns than Archer alone. The Black Rider has brought the influence of Angmar to our very doorstep, Ernhelm. So much is at stake this day. Are you ready to begin your great venture? I better be.
Under my poor old friend, a shadow has crept over.
The Black Rider that stabbed him is more feral than any creature you will meet in your travels. We have little time, and we must stretch what time we have by doing 2 things at once. Amdia needs medicine, Ernhelm, and quickly. Do you know of a plant called Kingsfoil? It has great power to heal. You should ask Captain Brackenbrook if he knows of any that grows in these parts. Offer him assistance as well, if it does not take that you far out of the way. We must begin to work on him, and perhaps he will look more kindly upon you after you do him a good deed. Fair enough. Now you mention that. King's Foil, eh? 'Tis a nice leafy plant that grows around Bronway's Folly, a ruin south of here. Help yourself to as much as you'd like, we've no use for it. And as for your offer of assistance, I will take you up on it. You're always in need of able hands, and you might as well earn your keep while you stay with us. My best man, Calder Cobb, is having trouble with wolves of late. Perhaps you could help him on your way to do your gardening job for the ranger. Yes, so as you might have heard, this is Archet, which is a little northwest, or northeast rather, of Bree. This is, of course, the Breeland map. There's quite a bit to do here. Fortunately for this playthrough, they've actually updated the visual style of the Archet and Combe area. I've heard all about you, Ernhelm. As you can see for yourself, there aren't no brigands causing problems. It's the wolves that threaten us lately. They seem to have gathered around Bronway's Folly, especially about the top of the ruins. Brackenbrook sent you to assist me, and assist me you shall. I'd like you to go to look into this wolf problem we are having. Fair enough. Well, that's not bad. Can I duplicate those results? I can. So as you might have noticed, for those that have played this game previously, this is a little bit brighter and more colorful, and in some cases darker than you recall. This is because I'm using a system called Reshade, which I can install into a game's files and give it a sort of an overlay. For instance, I can access Shift F2 here, and it'll open up the menu where I can utilize several different systems. As of this point, I've mostly got sharpening, bloom and lens flares, reflective bump mapping, SMAA, and a vignette. Just to make this game look a little bit better after all this time. Of course, one does have to be careful when using the texture sharpening, because with lower quality textures it tends to just make them a little bit more pixelated. Well, folks, I've been betrayed again. Typical. Ah, and here we are. One of the systems in this game. Instead of you taking fall damage, you actually kind of break your leg, which reduces your run speed to about 60% and removes your ability to block, parry, or evade. And of course, the longer you fall, the greater duration the debuff persists, up to a minute.
Impossible! Weakling like you defeated the Wolf Master?
How is it that you stand before me? A weakling like you defeated the Wolf Master? Bah! I would kill you myself if that fool Dirk Mudbrick weren't watching. No matter, I do not fear exposure. Brackenbrook will never believe you. He thinks I have served him loyally since I was but a lad, the old fool. Tell Brackenbrook whatever you like, but Archett will fall, and I'll make out with more gold than you can fathom. And you will die with the rest if you do not make yourself scarce before tonight. As we will soon see, that will not be an option. But yes, you can receive the fall damage debuff up to a duration of a minute. If you fall any further than that particular limit, then you're incapacitated. Makes sense given that your health is technically morale. I like it. It sounds like Calder Cobb had it in before you even arrived. How did he know of you? If he was at this post. And how did that Blackwold know you were coming? Thank you for the risk you took to deliver the king's foil. I will think upon this riddle while I prepare a salve for Amdia.
Cannot decide which is more dangerous right now. Calder Cobb's treachery or the ignorance of Captain Bracken.
If Calder Cobb is his best soldier, I know Brackenbrook will not believe that he tried to have you ambushed by a Blackwold. I did some asking around while you were gone, and there is a Blackwold brigand in the stocks, across the lane from here. He is being held for highway robbery. You should question him about Calder Cobb.
Why do you there? Let me go! Calder Cobb can vouch for me!
Let me go! I'm a friend of Calder Cobb's, and I'm innocent of that. This idiot jailer won't heed me. Otto quiets down as you tell him you know of Calder Cobb's treachery. So you think you know the plan? Don't be smug, it's too late. By now the gears of war will be turning down in the south. And quick! Soon I'll be free, and you'll be the one in shackles. Or worse. It is good to make your acquaintance, Ernhelm. I noticed you were questioning Otto. Does that mean his mutterings have been truthful? Yes, I do believe what you have come to Archett to tell. It is unprecedented, but all signs are showing that the Blackwoods mean to attack us. How is it that they have the means? If Brackenbrook does not believe you, you may tell him that I do. For what it's worth. Does Ned speak true of his prisoner? If so, we would be wise to investigate Otto's threat of trouble in the south. I'll not question Calder Cobb's lifetime of loyalty if there is no truth to back it up. But if you and Ned are right in your suspicion, this will be a very bad situation for us. Cal Sprigley's farm is to the south of here. near the gate to the town of Combe. If aught is going on, he'll know.
Oh, you look so changed since last night.
I almost feel like he's not but a shadow when I look at him. Like he isn't really there. How it makes me shiver. I saw Strider make a salve of kingsfoil for his wound, but my Gammer always used a different remedy when a young brandybuck would get a nasty splinter. Sweet bilberry tea. I smelled bilberries by the water to the east of here as we passed by in the night, which means they're in season. I would dearly like to make a tea for poor Amdir.
Hey, you there. I'm hungry.
And I'm thirsty. We could make a pair. Hey, you there! I haven't eaten since some woman gave me a bit of bread and jam for breakfast this morning. Such fare is hardly meant to feed a rabbit, let alone a full-grown hobbit like me. If you get me some proper food, I will reward you handsomely. I want something hearty and delicious. Seems we have new shoes. I apologize for some of this lag, by the way. I'm not sure if it's my system, my connection, or general server lag, which that's what I suspect it to be. I just built this particular computer last summer, and well, we recently had our internet upgraded to about 50 megabits per second. Of which I normally get about 4 to 6. Should be plenty to run this. So let's collect some boar meat. Would you know it? There's a Blackwood spy. So let's make our way over to Sprigley's farm. I'm glad you're here. Some Blackwolves tried to attack us this morning, but we drove them off. We must get help from Combe, the next town over. It's just southwest of here, and not more than a short journey away. They must bring their soldiers to Argent at once to help stave off the raid. Please make haste. I fear the Blackwolves mean to attack tonight. The road here is crawling with brigands, but I pray you can make it safe to Combe. My dad and the other farmhands, they gave chase to the brigands after the attack on our farm. I don't think the brigands expected us to put up such a fight after they surprised us. There weren't many of them, but I never saw them act so bold afore today. Only problem is they ain't back yet. They ran off to the east, chasing the brigands into the woods. It was hours ago, though, and I'm very worried. Could you go look for them and bring them back safe? I'll certainly try to. So yes, there may be some contention between the pronunciation of Combe and Combe. As far as I'm aware, it's either or. Well, it appears that the Blackwoods have blockaded Archet. As you can see down there, there are a couple of houses in Combe. Now, why they haven't seen the fact that there's this barricade here, I'll never know, but... Oh. Oh, folks, I made it to the other side of the barricade. We're good to go. Well. So much for geometry. So we'll go tell Sprigley that Combe is not really an option right now. But blocked? No, it cannot be. My men travelled to Combe only yesterday for a delivery. That is bad news, Helm. The captain must be informed of what's going on at once. Here's a note for Brackenbrook. He knows my scrawl. He will believe you now. I shall eventually deliver the Sprigley scroll. Now we gotta follow up on these farmhands that chased the brigands a little while ago. Oh, there's one of them. But he's dead. There's Bill. Died next to the bilberry bush. And Walt Wheatley, finally. There. Notice it's gotten darker when we near the Blackwold base. Not quite sure what that means yet. Oh. No, it cannot be, my poor father, and the others. No, it cannot be, it cannot. Will is silent for a long moment, his eyes closed, but after a great pause he is roused. I will have my revenge upon those Blackwoods, or I will die trying. Archit will never fall to such murderous fiends. On the other hand, go ahead and get yourself a new weapon. Thank you very much. We'll now play around with the spear. We won't be needing that. So another thing, weapons used to be a lot more diverse, I could say, when the game came out originally. For instance, there would be attack speeds associated with each weapon, but now every weapon attacks at the same time so as to simplify the combat rounds. But they still have little special abilities. For instance, the javelin makes ranged attacks 5% tougher to block for your opponents, and spears have a 1% chance to apply a bleed. And swords make it easier for you to parry by 1%, or 2% if it's a great sword. Things like that. They're abilities that don't really ever come into effect, but can be fairly useful depending on what you're doing. So we'll fill up the very empty belly here and give Mundo his boar meat. I suppose it would be pork, wouldn't it?
This will do nicely. Gives me something to munch on for a bit, at least.
Hooray, you brought me pork! Or bacon, or perhaps sausage. Oh, it doesn't matter. I can make a little of each. Mundo weighs the parcel of meats in his hands. This will give me something to munch on for a bit. Hopefully this provender will last me until I can go back home. And the false Baggins gives me a copper ring. Wonderful.
This is sure to cheer on your right up.
Well done, you found more than enough for a good strong tea. This is sure to cheer Amdir right up. Give me a moment and I will steep the berries in some boiling water.
This tea will help Amdir feel better. I just know it.
Doesn't the bilberry tea smell delightful? It still reminds me of my gammer who made this for me when I was under the weather, even though my gammer is long gone. You were such a dear to collect those wild berries for me, so I shan't be taking all the credit. Why don't you bring this nice brew to Amdir so he can thank you himself? You make sure he drinks it all up. Alright. Alright, Amdir, here comes the plane. Oh. Does that tea smell of bilberries? That was very sweet of Celandine, and very good of you to fetch her the makings. I am all the sorrier for I cannot drink this now. I do not feel well enough just now. I will pretend to drink it. You must tell Celandine I enjoyed her tea. Please do not let her know that her kindness was wasted on me.
Did my tea perk him up? I knew it would.
Bilberry tea always fixes me right up, and I know it would be especially sweet if it came from both of us, Anhelm. I know Amdir will be back on his feet soon. He is so brave. Well, he'll be on his feet soon, but... As Brackenbrook reads the letter from Cal Sprigley, his face is blank. He reads it a second time, and only then does he look at you. I have trusted Calder Cobb and even heeded his advice for a long time, even after my own son tried to warn me of his duplicity. My son John is a worthy hunter, but he has not set foot in this town for over 3 years. He would never forgive me for the things I said to him. Oh, what a fool I am! I told him he was not welcome in Archet until he stopped behaving like a jealous child. Now he and his hunters are our only hope. But what can I do? He does not deserve to be dragged deeper into my folly. Nay, Archet must withstand this storm without help.
Do not despair. You have done well.
Indeed, better than I could have done. You earned Captain Brackenbrook's trust. You must appeal to his son John against his wishes. I must leave soon, and Archet will need all the help it can get, even if her father's pride is at stake. I am confident you will be able to bring the hunters in and give this town a fighting chance. In the meantime, I must make haste. Amdir assures me he just needs rest. Ah, now it's time. So this is the new trait system they added in the game a couple of years back, which sort of simplifies it, as well as gives it a bit more detail at the same time. For instance, previously, your class trait system would look a lot like this, or even this, whereas you'd only have about maybe 15 skills to choose from, and you had only 5 or so, maybe 7 slots, with which you'd have to pick and choose and retrait and reslot for every little thing. But this way you can choose a particular style and respec at need. For instance, previously you had to go to a bard and pay to have your skills, your traits slotted and your specifications set up. But now you can pretty much do it for free. So, for the Warden here, we have Determination, Recklessness, and Assailment. Every class essentially has a blue, red, and yellow line. Typically, Determination is more of a tanking or healing line, depending on what class you play. Recklessness is almost assuredly a damage line for every class. And yellow is, sometimes it's damage, other times it's more crowd control. For certain classes, such as the Guardian, it's like an off-tanking. But for the purposes of this character, I think we will do Recklessness here, which doesn't really do anything for me yet, but here are the individual trait trees. Now, each of these will require different amounts of points. For instance, Persevere here requires 5 in total, Warcry is 5, Warden's Challenge is only 1, and every time you level up to an odd level, you get 1 point. Now, certain deeds or certain events will give you 1 class trait point. And I think in the game so far, there's something like 80 of them, maybe 85. So for me, Recklessness here, your Gambit builders are more powerful, and with each point I put into it, up to 5, it'll give me 5% more Gambit builder damage, which are essentially these 3 skills right here. And vital points increase the potency of your bleeds. With each point you put in, up to 5 points, you do a little bit more bleed damage, which is rather nice. Although, after just now speccing into it, I do get one ability called Shield Piercer, which is essentially a javelin that breaks an enemy's block rating by quite a bit. Let's see, what's my present block rating? 116. So, at this point, the Shield Piercer will break 267 of an enemy's block rating, which is fairly substantial if I'm facing enemies that are on level, even bosses. Oh, that's right. I wanted to show this off before we got too much further. There is a inn in Archit, as you might have been able to tell, and it has its own sign. If I remember correctly, it's called the Bad Badger. You can actually go inside. The Mad Badger. There we are. So this is sort of the front entrance here. And you can actually go inside of here and just sort of rest. Although few people ever really get to notice it. Alright, we will head over to the Hunter's Lodge. We start seeing some different mob types, such as the marsh fly here. Fortunately, most things in the starter areas do not aggro to you when you go near them. So here we are at the hunting lodge. And my, what do we have here but a dwarf? Very interesting.
I presume you're here to bring me ill news from town.
You come from the town, do you? I've been watching from the bounds. The skies have turned dark and fell, and there is a shadow of unrest over all of Archet, over men and beasts and trees alike. Let me guess, my father has not the wisdom to observe such tidings. So you heard of this exiled son and came to me for aid. Well, come then, out with it. I desire to hear what you have to tell.
Calder showed his true colours at last.
I knew him to be evil-hearted, but my father is too trusting. He does not like to think ill of people. His blindness wounded me, but he is a good man. So to answer your question, yes, I will come to Archet's aid, and I and my fellows. I am a hunter and a skilled warrior, trained by my father and a captain. And I would rather die than sit idly while foul brigands crash upon a decent people. Let us see what there is to see before the storm is upon us. While I gather my warriors and my weapons, you should sneak into the Blackwood's roost and uncover their plan of attack for tonight. Oh, interesting. Before you go, I wanted to make you an offer. You needn't accept this if you want, but what we have learned about the Blackwood unnerves me. My father's militia will not fare well against a massive force of brigands, and I fear that even the few hunters here will not make a great difference in the fight. Still, it is not in my heart to stand idly by. We may require an edge to win this victory, and I am willing to offer such an edge if you wish. Interesting. I'll actually do this on a different character a little later on, but rest assured we will look into this. So we're going to defeat brigands to thin their ranks 0 to 4. Alright. Interesting that out of the seeming dozens of brigands there are, killing 4 of them will thin their ranks. Almost seems a pittance, but I don't mind compared to the extensive brigand killing I have to do later on. Now, somebody said something earlier about the Blackwoods not having a leader. I believe we can safely say that that is now false. And so this is one of the self-heals here. Yes, I forgot to put on those rings. Let's fix that now. Ah, yes, a new pants. Very good. Now, the reason I went ahead and got the heavy armor shoulder pads is because when I first logged into this character today, I was presented with the option of opening a Hobbit present, which was a system they added about maybe a year and a half ago, which is sort of like a loot box on any like an iOS app or a game or what have you, where every now and then you could open up a little box with a bit of trivial loot inside. Only in this game, the loot is actually pretty good. Although typically I'd have expected to get something like a pile of copper scraps or... But no, this time I actually got armor, which was nice.
Good work, my friend.
Good work, Elnhelm, and fast too. This will be a great boon to Archit. Now we will be able to counter their efforts with the proper strategy. I will actually take this.
I believe there is hope for us yet. We need a strategy.
What an excellent find, Elnhelm. These folk from Angmar sound like evil foes, but at least we know what we are up against. The plans show a map that points to the old East Path, which is just near here. We all avoid that path, save for Atli Spiderbane, a visitor from east of the Misty Mountains. Speak with Atli and learn what he can tell you about the path. We can use the path to our advantage if we manage to successfully scout it. Nice. A dwarf from east of the Misty Mountains. So he'd either be from Erebor or the Iron Hills. Much less likely that he'd be one of the Oricani, but... I know all about the old East Path. There are spiders everywhere. When you kill one, another takes its place. It's like most things in this game, then. If we are to make use of the path at all, we should fight our way through and ensure that it is still blocked at the walls of Archit. The spiders will do some work for us against the Black Wolves, and what the spiders don't deal with, we shall come from afore and behind with our axes and our blades, and we will fall upon them like a mighty cave coming down. So let's go check on this wall. So these, let's see here, these well-worn equipment boxes are actually kind of strange. They implemented this a while back, where some of the story quests, at least the early ones, would allow you to pick one of these, and they'd always be like might-based medium armor. So we'll have to check that out later. And for those of you that do not like creepy crawlies, look away now. For while these are not the biggest spiders in the game, they are pretty big. So we'll check on this wall here. Oh, would you look at that? Leftovers. The Archit East Gate does not appear to exist. So the bad news is, the Blackwolves know this path exists. The good news is, they have not gotten through. strange that the citizenry of Archet would willingly sleep right next to a spider's nest. But hey, maybe they know something I don't. There's the bridge. But since they redid the foliage and design of this area, there's been quite a lot more stuff in the way. I'm not particularly bothered by it, but it's a little silly at times. Definitely looks nicer, though. That is good news. The brigands will be slowed, and they will have the spiders at their heels, and the hunters will come from behind while the soldiers attack the head. I will go to Archet to rally them and ready them for the storm that awaits them tonight. Choose one. I will go Great Eyes. Quickly, Culture Cobb is making his move against Archet, the wicked men of Angmar lending him, and the Blackwold's strength. We must go to the town's defense at once. Return to me when you are prepared. So, we're about ready to do that. I think there's one more thing we need to cover first. But, like the other quest we haven't accepted from him, it's something that we will do on a later character. You've had a long day, my friend, and more dangers await. You should take some rest. There's a bedroll just over there you can use. I'll wake you if anything happens. So you can sleep here, and you get a bit of a cutscene. But I'll wait to do that until we reach a different character, just to avoid being repetitive. Are you ready to go? Very well. Well, that doesn't look good.
John Brackenbrook and his hunters have reached the outskirts of Archet to find it already ablaze. A desperate struggle to save their village is about to begin. Fortunately, you arrived in time.
Idiots, why'd you stand there? That's a bad idea. Oh! Yeah. Well. Already the town burns. We have only a short time to rest here before they see that we have broken through the east wall. I fear we are less safe by the moment. Amdir is close by. He escaped the slaughter at the Badger. You have to help him. Defend the Badger. Those Blackwoods want the Hobbit and the Captain. I saw something in the flames. Go after them. You must save them. So the jailer, the only one who suspected that the Blackwolds meant harm, is now dead. Calder Cobb's and Otto's treachery were just the beginning of this battle, I fear. We must find a way to the Mad Badger Inn. Peg has left us a way into the marketplace. Perhaps there is a way in through there. Follow me. The marketplace is safe for now, but we must press on. If we tarry too long, we will lose all of Archet. We must find another way into the center of town. Yeah, I'd say that's blocked off. However, I do see a couple of people are still alive.
Look, Hartley's ahead. All must not be lost. Well
friend. Is the crafting hole safe?
I don't have a voice line here.
Although the mad badger burns, still hold out hope.
You have fared well, my friend, but all might be lost nonetheless. We have protected the market square and the crafters area. Already the mad badger burns. Perhaps my father is still alive, but I hold little hope. Follow Atli and me. We will defend what is left of this town to the death if we must.
Father, I knew you would survive.
They walk through the fire. How kind of them. Oh.
Father, no!
So, for those of you not familiar with the Lord of the Rings Online, those were Kargul, which are supposed to be some lesser manifestation of wraiths, sort of underlings to the Nazgul. Yet they walked through the fire here, which you would not see any Nazgul doing. I think it's more for cinematic effect than anything else. But nevertheless, it's not something that the game explains. I don't think.
But the misery is before us. My father was right to trust no one.
This is a sad day indeed. Archett is burned, my father is dead, and the Ranger was taken by evil men, if men they can be called. Now all we can do is wait for the flames to die down. Then, with luck, we may begin to rebuild our poor town. What tragedy has befallen us this night? But we defeated the Blackwold menace. I think it will be long ere they grow so bold again, with or without the help of the evil masters from Angmar.
With the Blackwolves' attack foiled, the people of Archet have begun to rebuild. Yet not all hurts are so easily mended. The fate of the Ranger Amdir remains uncertain, and may have dire consequences for Freeland. But hope remains that he may yet be saved.
The loss of my father is a painful one, but my pain is no greater than any other here in Archet. The people of Archet regard you as a hero, and I agree with them. Without your quick thinking, we would have lost more lives. You were the one who faced down the evil men and drove them and many of the Blackwolves from the woods surrounding our town. We owe you much. It is good to know that the grim dark growing across the land will have such fierce adversaries as yourself. So this is Archit, as it has been for the past, 11 years now. It's not really changed much, I'm sorry to say. Although, there is one thing I would like to show you before we end this particular episode. If I can get it to work. So you can actually go inside the jail here, which is something I only noticed a couple of months ago. And as you will notice, the previous wife of the jailer, Peg Pruner, has become the new jailer, taking up his place. Which is rather a nice touch that not too many people probably get to see. Although one problem I have is that her texture doesn't seem to show up correctly for me. Regardless, it's a nice little Easter egg, I suppose. So, this is the last we will see of Ernhelm for some time. When we come to our final character, the one who will be playing the rest of the game with, we will come back here and pick up this particular quest line and see what happens to Amdir and the rest of Breland. But for now, I bid you all farewell, as does Ernhelm, and we will see you next time here in the Forge.